What is going on, everybody? Gemworks here with a little bit of a twist. How about we switch gears a little bit and make a movie character for a change? In an effort to expand my palette, I have begun making movie and TV show characters alongside our game characters. To kick things off, let's take a look at 2024's Nosferatu by Robert Eggers, specifically the charming Count Orlok.
You must bow to it.
So what do you say? Let's go ahead and get started by building a model of Count Orlok. Okay, ladies and gentlefish, let's begin the blockout. You know the deal here. We're going to start with a lot of basic shapes, which we call primitives, and we're going to stitch them together to build out our skull. After setting the pieces in roughly the position that we're looking for, we're going to fuse them all with a voxel remesh and then carve out the eyes, give them some big old nostrils, and of course, the signature stash that this Orlok dons. You know, I gotta say that all the pieces really wound up flowing very naturally here. The head almost started to build itself. Obviously, this doesn't look like a typical human, given that Orlok is an appetite. But one of the things that I had a ton of fun developing here were the exaggerated facial features. You'll see here that I just took some time to really exaggerate the temples, the cheekbones, his brow, making him look more like a caricature of evil rather than a person. All of these exaggerated features are really what sells the character's design, in my opinion, including this pretty botched haircut. I don't know what this guy was thinking, what kind of barber he went to, but hey, that's the way it is. I'm sure you guys know it's just basic character design, when it comes to shapes that we all know and love. Sharp features sell a sinister look, makes things look intense and intimidating, and that's what we began doing right here. So with the head in good standing, I figure let's go ahead, we're going to start the body up and move on with this guy. I knew from the get-go that the body was going to consist of major shapes, at least for his torso and the chunk of his legs that were going to be obscured by the rest of his tunic. Certainly not the hands, though. As you can probably tell from this point and my previous models, all you got to really do to start building and adding the details is look for the basic structures. So for a person, you're always going to have thighs and shins. You're always going to have a upper arm and a forearm. Once you get those core components down, adding details is a little bit easier. So for instance here, because we had built out his shoulders and his chest, it's very easy to add the cape, or rather the cloak, and that nice furry part at the top. And all that was a gigantic sphere that was just hollowed out, so nothing too crazy. I wanted him to be set on a staircase, just like the very classic original Nosferatu, or rather Count Orlok. And I thought that emulating that pose with the modern design was going to make for an appealing twist. Getting him into position was relatively easy because it is not a super dynamic pose. All we really needed to do was adjust the left arm so that it's aiming forward and put his palm down. We needed to consistently reposition the feet and the legs so it looks like he has a step. Of course, we shifted his eyes to look at the camera, and we needed to set the right arm back and push his cloak behind him. Here we are building out the nails, and this made the hands just look, when I tell you so much better, it really brought them to life. To make the knuckles on the fingers, I just exaggerated the individual nodes on the tube as I was building it out, and those subtle angles really helped the fingers look a little more spindly and bony. But still, it was adding the nails that really sold it. And then I added a little bit of flesh to make the cuticles pop a little bit. And once all that was said and done, I think that we really came to a good point in terms of establishing a base for what this guy was supposed to look like. After that, it was just a matter of adding finishing details like wrinkles on skin and clothes, and then it just came to painting. Obviously, the paints that I use for the models that I make here on the iPad are just for demonstration and really just to sell the finished idea. But it gives anyone who wants to paint my models a good reference point. And either way, color was really what brings all the pieces to life, so I can't complain too much. Here with Orlok, there is a lot of browns and grays and greens. And even if you think that shadows would be implicit, it is still crucial to add that contour manually, like what I'm doing here on his skull, on his face rather, to really bring it to life. You'll see that adding in those shadows and highlights, rather than just resorting to the light system that you put on your scene, is going to help your model pop even more. I by no means am a master at this. I am learning with each and every piece that I make how to make the colors better. But hey, listen, let me tell you something is better than nothing. Now listen, you know this dude stank, so I want to make sure that the mouth looks pretty nasty. I added some blood just to show that this guy is a psycho vamp. And after that, it was just the finishing touches, adding some color to the buttons, giving the nails a dark hue, and coloring the staircase that I set him on. I wanted to go for a rustic wood with some gloss, and here's the finished piece. So, what do you think? This was my first piece that I did that was based off of a movie rather than a video game or a video game character. Obviously, it's very stylized. It has a cartoony overtone, which I think is great. I think works with my style. And it takes a little pressure off for hyperrealism. I think that it came out good. I think the lights sell the scene and the colors work. But what really matters is what you guys think. Let me know what you liked in the comments, what I could improve on. And of course, hit that sub for more, as I truly appreciate your support and sticking with me until the end. Now that we're broadening our horizons a little bit, tell me what you would love to see next, and I would be happy to engage in some new pieces. In the meantime, you guys take care, and thanks for watching.